Here's an interview from one of our past shows on Rock and Metal Revival. If you're interested in hearing full shows, go to our Facebook page and check out our list of affiliates for times and places where you can hear Rock and Metal Revival. There's the latest from Dirty Honey called California Dreamin'. And with us today, we want to welcome back Dirty Honey lead guitarist John-Notto. Welcome back to the Revival, John.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. It's glad to be here.
It's good to have you back. Now, John, we've been on this Dirty Honey train for a while now, and it seems to just keep getting momentum with the release of your full length and now touring with the Black Crowes this year. Things seem to be working out pretty well in the Dirty Honey camp right after that pandemic.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's feeling like we're right back in the driver's seat, literally on the bus, and we're picking up right where we left off. I think it's a fortunate position to be in, and we always remember to keep pouring gas on the fire, to make sure that we don't get too comfortable so that we can keep these kind of things happening.
Cool. Now, how was recording this one different than the first one, or was it the same process?
Well, it was essentially, the first one we did in Australia, and we did it at our producer's studio.
Mm-hmm.
Now he doesn't have necessarily a studio that would be comparable to, say, it's not like a professional. It's not a professionally treated room type thing, So, and we arrived there. Essentially, we had our hit, and we really only had one other finished song.
Oh, nice.
And we had 4 other songs that either needed a chorus or needed a needed some love and care. So we had 12 days to basically cut 7 songs.
Okay.
So this time is basically the inverse of that. We had 6 days to cut 12 songs. We got to cut them in a world-class studio, Henson Recording Studio here in L.A. We basically went in with everything written. We knew what we were doing.
Okay.
We essentially knew what we were going for. So we were able to cut a lot more things live. I don't think I redid one rhythm guitar. I think almost every rhythm guitar you're hearing is me playing with the band.
Nice. Yeah.
So that's who, and we always talk about that, and that being the sort of mantra. But the first album, I think we redid almost all the guitars purely for tone.
Mm-hmm.
And we had time, and we felt there was so much pressure to present ourselves, the right way the first time. So we got real experimental with it. It was a lot of almost the inverse experience in that sense. And we also had the whole pandemic to tighten up as a band, to tighten up the arrangements, to expand. I think we went in and cut 11 songs, and of course we released 8. And of course the last big difference was Nick couldn't be in the room, but surprisingly that wasn't bad. It really wasn't. We had him on Zoom.
And you can mute that. You can always
mute that. Yeah, that's the big difference. He was mutable. So we basically just didn't listen to him at all. No. It was cool. He was on Zoom, and we each had a Zoom link up right in our little booths, and he was talking through Pro Tools through this program called by Audio Movers.
Oh, wow.
Called Listen To. And that allowed him to hear what we were doing live in HD as it happened, and we could talk back. So honestly, it was like he was there.
Nice.
We were worried, of course, but
yeah.
It ended up being great.
Yeah, great results, man. I love the album.
John, when I think Dirty Honey, when I listen to it, I go, wow, a real rock and roll band. I mean, I'm starting to hear more of that lately. Do you think that, that sound of just, a guitar player, a bass player, a drummer, and people just playing real rock and roll without all the BS is starting to make a comeback, like a rock revival is going on?
I think so. I think it's still in the bubbling days, but we've met or toured with the exception of Greta Van Fleet. I think a lot of the other names in that little bin, it's a small bin, but the passion and the knowledge and the mantra of doing it that way, I think, is very much alive amongst these bands. So it's definitely it's definitely here. It's just a matter of can all of them get the songs to put themselves on the map. And we've been fortunate enough to do that. And I think that's kind of what's been the difference for us.
Nice. Now, when we tied you on the show before, I think you were gonna open for the Who.
That happened. Yeah.
Now, how, and also Guns N' Roses. How were those experiences? Because I know you got Guns N' Roses as a big influence on you guys.
Guns N' Roses was a huge influence, especially on myself and Justin.
Mm-hmm.
I know Mark gets the comparison a lot, but I don't think that's in his top.
Yeah.
He obviously loves them, but I don't think that he's a huge. Not like Justin and I. Well, I love them nonetheless. But those experiences were really cool pinch me moments. Obviously, great press release moments after. And it's really cool to test yourself, especially at the Who. It was cool to test ourselves in front of an arena for the first time, and they showed up. Those people were there. We played for pretty much a full arena.
Nice.
So I think the upper decks hadn't showed up yet, and that's about it.
Nice.
So it was, it's funny. It's like I still enjoy the headline shows way more than any of those. There's nothing beats showing up to, honestly, any amount of group of people who are fanatical about your music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just there is a great feeling to going out to 12,000 people who don't know your music, and by the end they're on their feet. That's your goal. That's your job for the night. That's our job. So I take pride in that. But the reward is the headlining shows for me personally.
Cool.
Well, now, John, I've been into the Dirty Honey thing since the first time we heard you guys, and I really get this live feel when I hear the EP and I hear the album. Now, was that planned out, or did it just happen that way?
Well, I think when we first just picked our producer and decided he was the guy that we were going to work with, that was kind of one of the guiding principles we were going to go with. I think was we're going to make this band sound. I think he realized that us sounding raw and powerful and letting the tune and the performance stand for itself was the best way to make a statement. And that's what we did anyway. So it was kind of like, let's not go into the studio and all of a sudden think, okay, making a record means adding a bunch of stuff and, doubling a bunch of things and, making the record this own thing that isn't you guys. And I think Nick, a lot of times when he was giving us speeches and stuff, would harken back to the concept, not necessarily the exact guitar tones or riffs or anything, but just the concept of how early Van Halen made their records. And I think that's why it sounds the way it does. Because if you listen to those, you don't wish there was anything else there.
Exactly.
And there's not much there, in terms of parts.
True. So now we just played the California Dreamin' single, and you guys got a video for that, and the video is really cool, man.
Thank you.
The door going through the doorways and stuff, and all the scenery and stuff. Now, whose red fastback Mustang is that? Because that's a badass car right there.
I know, right? That was actually a rental. Nobody.
No, you're supposed to say, "No, that's a singer's, man. He's got like 20 of those,
Yeah, right. Well, that's the goal. Yeah.
Now, John, how excited are you to get out on tour with the Black Crowes and their 30th anniversary tour? I mean, I think that audience is right in your wheelhouse.
I'm very excited, and I agree. I hope that you're right. It feels like a very, symbiotic or pairing between the two bands. They're treating us really good. We're gonna get up there and be able to play for nearly an hour for all the people. So it's a real good opportunity to get up there and show our stuff to, you know, a whole audience that hasn't seen us yet. And I think that's what we do best, is play our music live.
Well, that makes me really happy because I've already got my tickets for that Milwaukee show. So hearing that you're playing for an hour, that fires me up a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, they've really given us a show of support here. It doesn't feel like just another opening slot. So
awesome.
It's real exciting.
So now going back to videos, I've heard you were going to make a video for Heartbreaker from the last release, but it kind of got scrapped because I loved that tune, man. That tune, I thought that should have been another single release. So what happened?
Well, the pandemic happened, and then the shoot wasn't allowed to happen. It was like days. We were shooting at a public place, and then 2 days before the shoot, they weren't going to be allowed to congregate, so we had to scrap it. And then as time moved on, we didn't want to put out, you know, our manager likes to do things a certain way, which is where you attack it from many fronts, and we didn't want to just put the single out in a vacuum. And we were kind of waiting it out a little, and so, you know, as time went on, it unfortunately missed its day, and it's a great song.
Yeah.
And it's definitely a fan fave live, and it's a real bummer in that sense. But
didn't mean to bum you out, dude.
Yeah, come on, man.
Jeez, man, why'd you have to bring that up? Jeez.
Well, what we did was we moved on, and we just made the record. We made the next record.
Cool.
So, Now, John, a song I wanted to talk to you about from the first time I listened to the new album, Another Last Time. Now, that song has such a soulful groove in it. Can you talk about that song a little bit? I mean, because it's turned out to be one of my favorite songs to hit repeat on.
Oh, I love that. That's great. I love it if you hit repeat on any song, but that's a great problem to have. Well, that song essentially is a Mark LaBelle original. He basically wrote that on acoustic guitar, you know, because it's a real simple chord progression. It's not really a riff, you know, it's not a riff-based thing. And I just was like, that's a great song, you know, just straight up. So when we got into the rehearsal room, the idea for the bridge came to me, the bridge chords where it changes key after the guitar solo. I think Justin was probably the one to choose the guitar solo key, or somebody else did, and I just was like, I'm a gunslinger, man. I can solo over anything.
There you go.
You pick a key.
Yeah. Do it in the key of Q.
Yeah.
There you go. So come on, sharp guy.
We were soloing along, and we were soloing along, and I just heard that bridge happen the way it did, and but that's really my only addition to the song. You know, and the intro was, you know, Mark and the producer were like, you should just do something out front. And so I kind of just little Hendrixy, little Pearl Jammy, just kind of free form. You know, we did long ones, and it ended up they weren't quite coming out right. I remember the producer was like, "Why don't you just cut it in half?" And then that's the one. The one that's on there is the very first one that I did half length. So it ended up being the magic take. But we also got a good friend of mine, Nigel Hall, on keys there, and he tours in a pretty renowned funk band called Lettuce. And then we also got this in the theater world, or Broadway world, a very well-known name, Shoshana Bean, who's also a friend of mine. So
nice.
It was cool to bring in some extra talent on that one, and, you know, round out the sound.
Great tune.
Cool. And this rarely happens, but I was going to ask you about that tune myself. You know, me and Red usually don't agree on songs, but I really like that tune too. But I was thinking, you think it could have benefited from maybe adding some cowbell? Come on.
Well, only if we could get Will Ferrell to play it.
Ah.